Dr. Bottom is coming to you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the folks at Sideshow Collectibles, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 545 of the 1/6 scale Stan Lee as he appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And what Hot Toys has decided to do with the packaging really makes this one of the best that they've done. What they did was they took the box for the figure and kind of wrapped it around this clamshell, which kind of makes it like this whole thing is a giant action figure, which I think is great. Now, this section right here is empty because that's where his moon seat was, but I took that out because I don't want to spoil it too much. You see that you got the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This top section here says Stan Lee, and like I said, you got the box right there, which we'll take a look at. Come around to the back of the package, and you got a really gorgeous product shot of him sitting there. You can see the galaxy in the background with the different gem points, and then you see the Watchers walking away. And it says, "Hey, fellas, hey, wait. Where you going? Hey, you were supposed to be my lift home. How will I get out of here? Hey, gee, I got so many more stories to tell, guys. Oh, gee." And that's directly taken from the end credit scene where Stan also appeared. He was also earlier in the film where he was sitting there telling stories, and that's when he was like, "And then there was that one time where I was a FedEx driver." So it actually kind of takes Stan and makes him a character from the film, which is fantastic. But like I said, I love the packaging on this, and then it is taped in some areas, but you can then just cut the tape and separate the whole thing, and you can see, like I said, it's just a big giant clamshell that you're able to separate. On the inside here, you have the background, which is amazing. We'll take a look at that here in a bit as well. And then you can see that, like I said, you have the figure that is put in this box. Now, this box is a little bit smaller than the standard Hot Toys box, but it's still really very nice nonetheless. You got a nice image of Stan right there. Come around to the side, you got some of that kind of Guardians of the Galaxy sort of look. You got the Ravager logo right down there. Back of the package has various warnings and contact information. You also have a really cool shot down here of Stan sitting on that moon rock with the Watchers there. Then it is, in the style of most Hot Toy figures, a slip style package. So lifting this up like so, the side here again says Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee, Stan Lee, oh, Guardians. The back has the various casting crew responsible for making the figure, and then the front section here has the open window that fully showcases the figure as well as all of his accessories. Like I said, one of the best packagings that Hot Toys has given us, I feel. It just really is very collector friendly and displays very nicely as well. But enough about the packaging. Let's get this guy out here and see how cool he actually is. And here we have Stan Lee opened up and out of his packaging. Now, this is the second Stan Lee figure that we've gotten. The previous one was just him done up in regular clothes. The thing that's great about this is, like I said, in the Guardians of the Galaxy film, he was sitting there talking to the Watchers. Now, I've read people back and forth say that he was a Watcher. Some people say he was just an informant for the Watchers. I like thinking of him as basically just an informant for the Watchers, but still with all kind of those special abilities. He bounces around and has existed through all the Marvel Cinematic Universe kind of as an observer. So it really does make this version of Stan almost like he's a character in the whole universe itself. And I love that. Also, a lot of people really did not get that first version of Stan Lee, so this is a wonderful way to once again be able to add him to your collection. Now, first and foremost, as always, he does come with his instruction sheet. I always recommend going through these. This shows how to put his glasses on, how to put his space helmet together, how to detach the life-supporting backpack, and then you come around to the other side, it shows pieces that are non-removable. So again, always go through this and make sure you know what you're doing. For his accessories, coming down, he doesn't come with a ton, but honestly, I don't really even care because what he comes with is fantastic. In addition to a pair of fairly relaxed hands, you get two more that are a little bit more clutching around I mean, maybe you could use it as if it's going to be sitting on there, kind of holding onto there. And it just gives you posing options. But taking a look at the detail on here, absolutely gorgeous. You see a very nice reflective silver paint throughout the entire thing. Gorgeous yellowish orange straps coming around to the palm that carries on with that same color. But a tremendous amount of detail on here, as you would expect. I really love that reflective nature of that. I mean, as you move that around, I mean, it really does kind of capture the light and do a really good job of just looking cool, I guess. You also do get a pair of gesturing hands. You can see that these ones are much more open, as if he's kind of, come this way, my friends. Enter my crazy world of comic book characters. But you can see great detail on this as well. Like I was saying, you have that strap that comes around. I love how they got that nice silver paint right on the inside there for the little buckle of that strap. And then you can see on the inside here, again, great detail with the palm of the hand with some nice crease work, some lines, what ultimately would be like stitching on a pair of gloves. They do a great job of recreating it. He also does come with a pair of glasses. I guess I should have stayed zoomed in. A pair of glasses which are very, very Stan Lee-ish. I mean, you can see very cool looking. They are a bluish translucent plastic that you can see there, but the style is very Stan Lee. You can see like some rivet work on there, some little parts on there. I have no idea what any of this would be, but Stan Lee is known for his very unique looking sunglasses, and I love that they kind of, futurized a pair of them for him to wear in this film. I mean, these are absolutely terrific. And you can see they're not full sunglasses. They don't have the little lip that goes around the ear. These little bits here just fit into his hair. I'll show how to do that here in a bit, but still really gorgeous paint detail on there and wonderful looking sculpt. Now, he also comes with his dome. This is maybe the only thing that I would criticize on it. It comes in two halves like this, and it creates this line. Now, from the front and everything, you won't ever notice it. From the back, you won't ever notice it. But there's always going to be that off to the side kind of look where you're always going to see that line coming across. I don't honestly know why they didn't just make this all one piece, because you don't need to sandwich this around his head. A lot of times that's what they do, and but you normally would have to, like I said, wrap this around to be able to fit it. You don't have to. You can literally just hold it together like this, and then, yeah, I'll show you, but you can literally put his head over it. So I don't know. I mean, the only thing I can think of is doing it like this to protect the head sculpt, but I feel like the opening is wide enough that you don't necessarily need that. So that's an aspect I wish that they didn't do, but ultimately it's not going to knock any points off, I don't feel, for this figure, because like I said, from the front, you're going to get that gorgeous fishbowl sort of look. So it's perfectly okay. Now, the other accessories that he comes with, obviously, is his seat. Now, this takes the place of, I guess, a display base, because you're more than likely just going to have him sitting on here, because that's what he was doing in the film. And this, the amount of work that's in this is absolutely fantastic as well. You can see a great amount of pitting throughout the entire thing. It's a moon rock, and it looks like it. The weathering looks fantastic. The paintwork is absolutely extraordinary on it. I think that they got this wonderfully. The only way that this could have gotten any better is if instead of being made out of plastic, it was made out of a ceramic or something. But I mean, as it is, this still looks incredible. And like I said, most people are going to choose to have him sit on this, as that's what he was doing in the film, so it makes sense to include this as a diorama display piece as opposed to giving him that normal crotch grabbing stand. This is perfectly acceptable. The bottom section here, you got a couple little ridges to kind of lift this up. You got the Marvel Hot Toys logo thing down there in the bottom, but just all the way around, absolutely stellar looking. Like I said, the sculpt work, the paint work on here, amazing. Just really, really is. When you just look at it from a distance, it looks like a giant chunk of moon rock. And as you can see in the background, it works perfectly with the included background. Now this, I'm going to get these guys off to the side for right now. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. And one thing that's awesome is it's lenticular. I don't know if we've ever gotten anything from Hot Toys in terms of a lenticular background previously, but they did a great job with this. As you move it around in different angles, hopefully you can see that. Like from this angle, you can kind of see that ship, that rocket, and Yondu were on. You can see coming out of that jump point, and then you move it, it disappears, and then if I can get it in the right sort of position, it then reappears on the other side. It's difficult to show on camera, but moving it around, it also changes kind of the color of things. You can see that's a little bit more purple. That side looks a little bit more blue, but it also changes the way that the jump point. Oh wait, there you can I don't know if you can see it there, but there's the ship reappearing and then jumping through that jump point. You got these little stands right here. These ones, yeah, see, I wish that these were a little bit better. They're just made out of cardboard. If it's just sitting there, it's perfectly fine. But when you start moving around like I'm doing, it causes problems. So just don't move it around and you'll be okay. But this is also really large, one of the larger backgrounds that we've gotten. Now, in terms of fitting in a D12, somebody have a conversation with Howard over at Hot Toys and let them know that we want backgrounds that fit into our D12. This is just about the perfect width, but the height is like that much too big to actually fit in there. You probably could do it if you manipulate some of the glass displays and stuff, so you might be able to do it. I'm gonna try it because I think this is a gorgeous display, and even if I didn't display it with this figure, I mean, it would be a great display with the Guardians of the Galaxy, I think. So that as well is a terrific accessory. Now, he technically you could say come with one more, and that is his backpack. Now, in preparing for this video, I went back, obviously, and rewatched the scene that this figure is based off of. And the one thing that instantly stood out for me was you never saw a backpack. There was an up-close image of his face. You could kind of see, like, here. And let me put everything together on him first. So you got his glasses, and then, like I said, you got little groove sections here on the side by his ears. You just kind of fit those right in there, and oh man, he's coming to life. Now, like these, like I said, you don't need to wrap it around his head. You can literally just put it together like so, and then you can see it fits perfectly fine. So like I said, I don't feel like you needed to have that line going through there, because from some angles you do notice it, but not from there. Now, in the scenes where we saw him, like I said, we kind of saw from like here up, and there was no backpack that you could see. Also, in the end credit scene where the watchers start leaving him, he's like, oh guys, don't leave. He actually turns to the side, and you can physically see there is no backpack. Now, that was like, wait a minute, something's fishy about that. That doesn't seem right for Hot Toys to do a figure that's not all that screen accurate, especially when they're doing a huge kind of homage to Stan Lee by doing this one. And then again, I opened the instruction sheet. So once again, make sure you look at that. This whole backpack can remove. These pieces up here are magnetically attached. So moving that down to the side, getting this arm out of the way, this one is also magnetically attached. Just pull that away, just like so. That one, magnetic. Pull that down like so. And then you have these little buckles on the side that you just kind of push. They're those little claspy buckles. It's a little bit tricky to do because my fingers are kind of chubby. So you just kind of do it. And there you go. You can see, you can detach that. And then do that on this side as well. Just kind of pinch those two buttons in till you feel it release. It's like I said, it's a little bit tricky, but see, there we go. And then let's do it on the top section as well. The top ones are a little bit more difficult because they're on an angle, so just be very careful as you're doing it, but you pull that off like that. And then the final one, you pinch, and come on, and now you can pull this away. Now these buckles will still be there. They kind of hide very nicely along the back, and then take this, you can kind of just leave this up along, and then take this piece, kind of just use that to hold that in place. And they actually put magnets on the back here where these pieces can now attach, because the movie, when you saw them from the front, you saw all these hoses. They were there, and you couldn't have the backpack be removable without leaving these pieces on there, because now you have, other than this piece kind of hanging down a little bit, now you have a very film accurate representation of him as he was sitting. So you basically have this life support backpack, which is an additional accessory. They didn't need to include this. Like I said, it's not originally part of the film, but I love the fact that they included this as an option to have him displayed, because a spacesuit would have a life support backpack, and that's basically what this is. So they didn't need to include this, but I'm absolutely thrilled that they did. Staying in on this though, you can see a lot of amazing detail on this. Let me get him kind of out of the way. Now, the stitch work is fantastic, but what really does look nice is the lived in nature of it. It's hopefully you can see this. I know it's yellow and it's bright and everything. I adjust the exposure to try to get this down, but there is a small degree of dirt kind of put in this. So how they were able to do that, I have no idea, but it has a very, like I said, lived in sort of feel to it. He's sitting on a moon, which is inherently very dirty, and I don't know if that's just coming across a shadow or what, but the fact that you were able to get some of that dirt kind of in here is phenomenal. I absolutely love how they did that, and they did that with the rest of the suit as well. You can really see it kind of down here, where the upper part of the thighs has a very clean look, and then the knees and the lower section here has a little bit of that dirt thrown on there. The entire figure has that. A little bit more on the legs from what I'm looking at. You can kind of see it there along the side, probably because he's sitting on a giant moon rock. So it makes sense that that would be there. But again, the stitch work on here is absolutely incredible. I love what they did. Now this piece right here is not removable. That was part of his actual costume, so that's going to stay put. So I'm glad that they didn't make that detachable or anything. But the stitching on here looks great. I mean, you can see a lot of that kind of down in the lower portion of the body, and it's also down here in the lower portion of the leg. So absolutely terrific. But let's take a look at his likeness. And again, just to kind of illustrate that you don't need to separate it, you can literally just take this and lift this off. It doesn't come into contact with the head or anything, but that is a gorgeous likeness to him. I mean, really, it really is. Removing his glasses, he's got that kind of squint look to it. You can see the hair has a real nice kind of brown that fades to a gray, which looks gorgeous. The wrinkling looks amazing. His mustache, that might be one of the best mustaches I've ever seen on a figure, even better than good old Steve Rogers with his giant beard. But the likeness on here is superb. I do not have that first one. I skipped out on it, but looking at pictures, both of them look amazing. This one I just feel is a lot more refined, and it really does a great job of capturing his look. The one thing that's also nice is on the inside here is a very soft material, as you would expect in a spacesuit, that kind of comes up and protects the body, I guess. So you have a very nice fabric material underneath there, which works very good. The rubber here is an actual rubber. Like I said, you have that magnet on there, but it is a rubbery material, but looks absolutely terrific as well. The detail on the suit, as I talked about, has a very bulky kind of look, which does restrict some of the motion in his shoulder, but doesn't bother me really all that much, because I'm not going to be putting this guy in a lot of very dynamic poses. I mean, he's like a 90-some-year-old man when he did this, so I don't need to have crazy poses. But again, you can kind of see the dirt on the front section of his bit right there. You got that hose coming down here that again attaches via some magnets on the back. You can see some nice dirt on his upper part of the sleeves, also down here in the cuffs. Again, gorgeous looking gloves. They look very nice with that very gorgeous silver paint. You do have the suit on here. I mean, it kind of goes down, and then you can see his butt. The rest of the body, tremendous amount of detail with it. Just one of the best suits in terms of stitching that I've seen in a very long time. And then obviously he's got his moon boots, which look great. You lift this up even, and you can see that he's got on the underside here a little bit of material coming down into the foot itself. So fairly accurate how a suit would be. I mean, a tremendous amount of detail on this. And like I said, you can complete the look by taking the glasses, sliding those back on, clipping them kind of around the little notches for his ears, and then take that dome, make sure that they're grooved together very nicely where it sits in there proper, and then take this and again just slide that over, kind of keeping the lines as straight as possible. And you really do complete that look that he had in the movie, which, like I said, super fun that he's actually a character in the film itself. Now, first articulation, it's basically the standard Hot Toys sort of thing. The neck here at the very base is on a ball joint, so you're gonna get him looking left, right, up and down a little. You get some wiggle and waggle. You can probably, I don't know if you can really, yeah, you can kind of see that. He's got a longer neck section, so it doesn't have an additional ball joint at the base of his neck, which is perfectly fine. I don't mind that at all. The only real restriction that I find is in the shoulders, and it's just because of the bulkiness of his suit itself. It's you can rotate it still, you can move it out, but moving it forward is extremely difficult to do, and I don't want to force it because I don't want anything to happen, but I don't mind that really all that much, because honestly you can kind of bend it down and still get him, you know, doing something along those lines. So while yes, it's restrictive there, I don't feel like it's going to really limit too many poses, because like I said, a lot of people are just going to have him sitting down, so I'm okay with it. He does rotate at the wrist. They also hinge forward and back. I would probably say that he's got an upper ab crunch. Yeah, you can bend that over like that, and I can feel that it's kind of like a ratchet joint on the inside there. So that articulation is there. You can see that he rotates from this side pretty decently. The hips here, if you lift this up, you can get his hips going up pretty decently to obviously get a good seated pose. They go in and out. There's no real restriction there. The upper thighs have a rotation. He's got two joints here at the knee, which do feel like they're on a fairly soft ratchet joint as well. And then the ankles are on full ball joints, it seems. So again, real good range of motion there. So like I said, the only real restriction, I'm knocking stuff off here, would be in the shoulders, but it's not a deal breaker for me, honestly. He still can get some really very cool displays. This guy, though, turned out absolutely fantastic. As I mentioned, this is the second version of Stan Lee that we've ever gotten from Hot Toys. The first one being just him in a regular, casual kind of suit. What I personally feel makes this one special, though, is his appearance in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 really did create him as a character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that he is one of the Watchers, but he is obviously giving them information that he accumulated as he traveled throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Talking about, obviously, the one time he was a FedEx driver and then wanting to tell them more stories. But obviously, they weren't all that interested. So like I said, the cool thing about this release is it plays into that he was a character aspect. And I absolutely love it. The figure itself is also extremely well done. First up, the background. I love that they went with the lenticular sort of thing, which allows you from different angles to really see kind of action. I know it really doesn't come across very well on camera, but in person, it's fantastic. Accessory-wise, he doesn't come with a lot, but you don't really need a lot with him. The display seat form is fantastic. The suit is wonderfully done. I also love that they included a life support backpack. They really didn't need to at all, but it just goes that extra step to kind of say, hey, if he was wearing a spacesuit, he would need one of these. So let's give it to him, but let's also make it possible for collectors like myself to be able to take it off to get that more movie accurate look. This is a terrific release. And Hot Toys, once again, nailed it, especially with that likeness. It is spot on. If you are a Marvel fan, this is a must-have. If you didn't have that first one, I know a lot of people were really hoping that they would re-release it at some point, and I'm glad they went in a little bit different of a direction to give us this character. It still gives us a Stan Lee figure and satisfies that itch if you didn't get that first figure, but it is, in my opinion, much better than that first version. That obviously is just my opinion, but I honestly cannot recommend this figure enough. So all that being said, if this is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, you can do so now by visiting Sideshow Collectibles. So for that, I'll put a link down in the video description where you'll go to Sideshow and you can check out availability on this guy as well as the rest of the wide range of 1/6 scale figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate it, guys, if you would show your support simply by hitting that thumbs up button. That one very small gesture goes a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. I'd also like to send a huge thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. And a huge shout out to the folks over at Sideshow for helping to make this review possible. And finally, remember, grow wise, grow strong, but never grow up. Thank you for watching. I love you, 3000.